15 of the Woolly Witch of the West Fiber Arts videocast. I'm Madeline. I will be your host this time and every time on this podcast. You can find me on Instagram as Woolly Witch of the West and Ravelry as WoolyWitchotWest. I also do have a Woolly Witch of the West Facebook page now, and of course here on YouTube. So thank you for everyone who is a returning viewer for coming back to check in with me and keep up on all of my projects, and for anybody new stopping by, hello and welcome. This is a video cast, as I said, that's primarily about fiber arts. For me, that means mostly spinning and knitting, but there's also a bit of dyeing and felting and maybe some embroidery thrown in there every once in a while. So those are the things I cover in my podcast. I have a giant white dog who's very friendly, who rings the bell when she wants to go out. And she has recently been out, so I'm not going to let her out in the midst of filming this podcast. But if you hear the bell in the background, that's the dog, and we trained her to do that, so it's our own fault. But she may make a few nose appearances on the side of the screen from time to time. There's an ear. So, sorry, I totally lost my flow there. So yes, I'm Madeline. I am filming at the Woolly Mammoth Yarn Shop in Eureka, Montana, where I'm a junior partner. And yeah, other than that, it is finally maybe spring up here. It's been a very, very long winter with lots and lots and lots of snow. And as I say this, I know that many people on the East Coast are experiencing another nor'easter and have gotten feet and feet of snow. That was us like last week. And now the roads are a bit clear, and there's still a lot of snow on the ground. My driveway is mostly ice still, but I saw a robin today, which is like the quintessential moondog. Hey, go lay down. Go lay down, please. Sorry about that. Go lay down. The robin, quintessential sign of spring, so hopefully he'll stick around, and hopefully the snow we're supposed to get next week will be rain instead, and I will be very, very happy to be out of wintertime and able to go out and about and move around a little bit more, because we've had enough snow and enough ice that we've kind of, unless you have skis, outdoor exploration was just not really an option, and I'm excited to be able to walk up and down my driveway and maybe even down to the river sometime soon. So I hope all of you all are having a wonderful spring and seeing signs of it, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, in which case hopefully fall is good for you too. And now that I've rambled and totally kind of lost track of my flow. I could refilm all of this, but I'm not going to, so bear with me. It's also my podiversary. This is my podiversary episode, so I have now been doing this for a year, and so thank you, all of you who have been supportive and watched and commented and liked and shared my videos around on the internet. That is very wonderful, and I really appreciate you. And as something new in the podcast, and thanks to the generosity of a local indie dyer in my area, I have a couple giveaways for this episode to share with you all, and I will do that and talk to you about that all at the end. So, in the meantime, I both do and don't feel like I have a lot that I've gotten done and have going on, so I'm going to do finished knits, and then knits in progress, and finish spins, and then spins in progress, and then I will talk to you all about the giveaway at the end. So I will go ahead and just kind of get going. So first up, what I am wearing is the shawl that I knit with the trade yarn from my half of a trade with Anna Marsh of Santa Creek Creations. So we did a hand-spun trade, and she is a very cheerful and talented indie dyer from Idaho. and I'm in northwestern Montana, so we're basically neighbors. And we spun yarn for each other. I did send off my yarn to her. I think I showed that last podcast or last episode. I might turn this into a podcast. If you are interested in me turning this into an actual downloadable on iTunes podcast, comment below and let me know, and I will look into doing that. So we spun yarn for each other and sent it to each other. I got mine far before she got hers because I procrastinate and get a little nervous about sending my yarn to people who I know are talented fiber artists. So this is the shawl I made from her yarn, and as you can see, I rushed the blocking a little bit and tried to just flat block it without pins, so my edge rolls a little bit, but I'm overall pretty happy with it anyways. So I just need to reblock it. And I love all the colors in this. They're a little bit brighter than they're coming across. At the top here, this is a really bright purple. So it's super colorful and is Polworth and silk, so it was just really wonderful and lovely to knit up. And as soon as I got it in the mail, I pretty much put all the other projects aside and just kind of knit this for the sheer joy of getting to knit somebody else's handspun, which always makes me feel very special. So yeah, there's that. That's my first finished object. It was technically finished last time, but it wasn't blocked, and it was really scrunched up on itself, so I didn't share that. I just put it back on. I shouldn't have. So there's that. That's also been my bit of green today. It is St. Patrick's Day, so obviously I'm not super into St. Patrick's Day. I pretty much forgot about it and then was glad that there was green in the shawl I brought with me to work. And my second finished object is was a very, very, very quick knit, which is this cowl. Is that an end? No, it's just a wonky stitch. Which is, the yarn was a surprise gift. My spouse creature pen pals, and is a wonderful pen pal, and she and their pen pals, they send books back and forth to each other and all sorts of wonderful things. And her pen pal, Wendy, actually just went into a yarn shop and bought yarn for me and sent it in a belated holiday package. So this is yarn from her. So this is Malabrigo Rasta. It's very squishy. It's merino, one big, super squishy, super bulky merino single. Rasta is the weight for the super bulky, and I don't have the tag that says what the colorway on this is, but it's really funky, wonderful, pinky purple, orangey, and this is just a basic brioche cowl that I put a funky button from the shop on. So if it's like this, keeps my neck warm when you button up your jacket. The V in the front stays warm. It was an excuse to use a funky button. And these aren't really colors that I would choose for myself, but I really like it. It's super soft. And I had not knit with Malabrigo yarn before because I'm kind of a local shop kind of gal, and we don't carry Malabrigo yarns up here, so that was very interesting and very fun. And I also hadn't knit single color brioche before. I just kind of jumped straight into 2-color brioche when I learned brioche knitting, so that was also fun. So yeah, this was like a super quick knit. Oh, there's that one. Ooh. I know that not all knitting podcasters try on every item that they're showing you, but apparently I do. So I'm going to have bad hair today, and hopefully you all can just deal with that. And that's it. That's all I have for finished knits, because life has been crazy. around here, and it's been super busy. So moving on to knitting in progress, I have the giant, the wonderful, the amazing, the huge brioche shawl I've been working on for quite some time now, and I'm a little nervous about showing it to you all. Not because it's bad and not because I mucked up, because this is what I've been knitting. I wake up in the morning, I go downstairs, and the spouse creature's made coffee, and it's all very wonderful, and I sit on the couch very bleary-eyed, and I knit while snuggling my dog. So this is a piece of knitting that has been quite loved by my dog, so it's not showing up too badly, but there is way more dog hair on this shawl at the moment than I would like. But so yes, this is the Meandering shawl by Mr. Stephen West of West Knits fame, and I am way down here, and I'm at the point where it's difficult to show you how large it is now because my knitting, it's bunching on my knitting cable. But when you saw me last time, I was about to finish the last zag of the zigzags on this and begin on a border. So I was about here. Ooh. And as you can see, I've continued zigging and zagging all the way down. So that, of course, means that I went ahead and bought more yarn to be able to do that. So, yay, more yarn. So this is some local to me dyed yarn from the Polka Dot Sheep, and she dyes out of the Knit and Needle yarn shop down in Whitefish, Montana, which is about an hour south of me. I'm getting some sun. And the colorways are Juneberry and Summer Storm, and I believe it's her sock base, but I don't remember. Tender Toes, I think, is the name of her sock base. I'm pretty sure it's Tender Toes, which is adorable. And this wonderful dyer is also the one who has donated me some minis for a giveaway for you all that I will show you at the end of the show. Teaser on that. So that's very exciting. And I really am. I've been posting on Instagram for a couple weeks thinking, I'm going to finish this soon. I'm going to start the border soon. I'm so excited. And every time I think that, like, I'm going to get to the border today, it doesn't happen. Because the rows are so long, and I know that Stephen West is kind of notorious for that, but any giant shawl is the same. And part of the point of me buying the extra yarn to make this shawl was to make a shawl that I felt like was big enough for me, because when I've tried to make big shawls in the past, I've kind of underestimated yardage, and I've still made shawls that I enjoy and I like wearing, but I don't feel like quite fit my form. Like I give them to someone else to wear for a little while, and I think that just looks a little better on you than it does on me. So I'm really excited to have a very squishy giant shawl, and I will probably wear it all the time. And I love how the color pooling from the Summer Storm is coming through on this. So it's really fun. Yes, so I could go on. Other works in progress I started a new pair of socks because I didn't have a pair of vanilla socks on the go. So there they are. I know I make my toes really pointy. A lot of people don't like really pointy toes, but my feet are funky, I guess, and they still fit me really well. And these are socks for me. And I really actually, this is Patton's yarn, and I I can't tell you when I bought it. Years and years and years ago. I believe it was like a sale item at Michael's or something that I picked up. So, yeah, I have multiple balls of it, so I think I have 4 balls of it. I could have used it for a very different project, but in the moment I was going out to a meeting and I was feeling nervous about meeting new people, so I just grabbed the first ball of already wound, immediately usable sock yarn off of the pile, and I just got my needles and went. And I do knit my socks on, these are size 1 needles. They're Knitter's Pride Cubics, so they're actually square. And I really like them. They're pretty pointy, and I like pointy needles. So I could be doing these 2 at a time, but I didn't want to wait to find another set of needles, so 1 at a time it is. Random vanilla knitting. And the last project I have on the go. Oh my gosh, okay. I will be right back. I'm gonna pause. Sorry about that. I thought I have printed out this pattern actually, and I thought I had it with me, but I don't. So the last thing I have in progress, I'm really very excited about because it is a sweater. And I've been just so inspired by a bunch of the other video casters that I watch. And most of them are doing sweaters or working on sweaters, Bang Out of Carbeth or Melissa of Knitting the Stash is doing a remake along, or a better sweater along, where you take a sweater that you love out of your wardrobe and you just remake it. And she knits so many sweaters, so I have been watching her and feeling like a little jealous, like I need a good sweater. And this sweater is a bit of a story, so hopefully just bear with me. I'm feeling nervous today. I'm not sure why. So I'll just say that out loud and then get it out of the way and move on. So I'm not sure why I'm feeling nervous today, but I am. But I'm still going to talk to you about this sweater. So first of all, shall I show you the sweater I'm making? I thought I had a printout, but I don't. But I do have my phone. So I am making the Perot Cardigan, which it was designed by Anne E. Smith. And it's it's for Karen, Caron. And this is what it looks like. Yay! Isn't that gorgeous? And it is a free pattern. And so the story of this sweater is that I had yarn that had been gifted to me in Deep Stash from someone else. And I thought I'd gotten it from my grandmother, but now that I think about it, I actually think it's maybe from one of my mother-in-law's friends. And this is what it looks like. And it was quite a project to get through. Now it smells wonderful because I washed it. So this is Shetland and Virgin Fleece is all it says. And it's a worsted weight. And it came in 50-gram skeins, and there's about 1,800 yards, and I washed it and wound it up to make sure that I had the right yardage. Sorry, I really like my soap. But oh my gosh, finding a sweater to knit was a real challenge. I spent an entire day. I had skeined up the yarns, and I knew the yardage, and I knew what I was looking for, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna find the sweater today that I want to make, and I'm gonna cast it on, and it's gonna be wonderful. But it took me the entire day of looking, and part of that was because I was determined that I have all of these wonderful knitting books, and I have knitting magazines that I've saved with patterns in them that I've wanted to knit from over the years. I've been knitting for more than a decade. So I pawed through each and every one of those books and each and every one of those magazines, and it's just a challenge. I'm not much of, I've knit a few garments. I've knit one complete, no, that's not true. I've knit 2 adult-sized sweaters, and I've nearly finished a very fancy Aran cabled sweater before. So I have some experience knitting garments, but not an awful lot. So I wasn't feeling like I wanted to go find a pattern that I loved and then modify it to make sure that it fit me. So all I wanted in all this entire search was something that used the right weight yarn with a compromise that I had enough yardage for, and that would also just fit me without modification. And none of the books that I had and none of the magazines that I had met that requirement at all. So that was kind of depressing. And it wasn't that all of them only had small sizes. There were some of them that had a size that would have worked for me based on my measurements that I just didn't have enough yardage for. So the cardigan I chose is short, is, 3/4 sleeves and is open in the front, and so it uses less yardage. So those were my constraints, but I think I held out until like 6 o'clock at night before I was finally just like, okay, I have to go look on Ravelry. And I finally went through, and that's when I found that pattern. But I really wanted to knit something from one of the books that I had. In any case, this is how far I am. And this may look like it could be the front of a sweater, but it is actually a sleeve. So, there it is. There are my cables. There are these fun little zigzags. I'm already excited to block it. I really love the garter stitch just in the zigzags. I thought that was a really neat detail. And yeah, so that's making me feel pretty fancy. I haven't gotten very far. This is just a couple of repeats of the pattern. And the cable is a 10-row repeat, and the zigzags is a 20-row pattern repeat, so it's really easy to keep up with. And I already am at a point where I don't have to reference the chart or directions or anything at this point. And this construction is neat. So you knit both sleeves from the outside into the center, and then you seam up the center with a 3-needle bind off, and use short rows to shape the front. And then you pick up the bottom part all along the bottom edge. And that's how the sweater is constructed. So I thought that was neat. And yeah, so there it is, sweater in progress. I've done it now. And this little stitch marker down here is what I've been using for cabling, since they're just 4 over 4 under, sorry, 2 over 2 under cables for the cabling. So there it is. And I really love the subtle shading. There's subtle variation in this gray. It isn't showing up great. I'm losing the light a little bit, but I'm really very excited about it. So, I've joined the sweater train. I'm on it. So that'll be fun. And that's it for what I have on my needles that I'm really kind of actively working on at the moment. But I also have been spinning. So last time I talked to you about, sorry, I have everything on the table in front of me. This yarn, ignore the yellow, that was from a previous spin. But this yarn that I spun, this is a combo drafted, and this is Corriedale. That was, oh my goodness, that was dyed by Someone's Novelty Yarns. She's from Utah. I can find this out. Judy's. Her name is Judy. Judy's Novelty Yarns out of Utah is the dyer, and it's a combination of the colorway Freya and a one-off. She exhausts all her dye pots and then sells those skeins as one-of-a-kinds. So I had been having a debate last time on what I wanted to do with those two fibers, because I just really wasn't sure. And I went back and I looked at it, and I thought, and then I posted about it in the Mildly Offensive Fiber Artist group on Facebook, and people overall all really enjoyed the colors, so I thought, well, the hard part in all of this is that I just really did not want to continue doing what I was doing, which was combo drafting them to drafting from 2 different braids at the same time. So I didn't do that. What I did instead was I just spun one bump to one bobbin, one bump to the other bobbin, and then I applied them back on themselves. And what I came up with is this wonderfulness. So let me find a good portion. So there are a couple of things about this yarn. I feel like this is a good spot. So, things that I have discovered. I feel like overall the color is pretty similar. So I feel like I achieved a similar effect without having to do combo drafting, although this yarn to me seems a little bit more purpley. And it has less spots where there's one ply that's entirely pink. But this is also a 3-ply and this is a 2-ply. Let's see here. And since I didn't chain ply, I did chain ply this, I did not chain ply this. I don't have any places where it's all the same color at once, really, like this green spot in there. And I discovered a couple of things while I was doing this. And the first thing is that when I started spinning this yarn, it was not long after I had picked up spinning. Maybe like half a year, but still. And I feel like this yarn actually is really consistent, and I was spinning really pretty fine in spite of combo drafting, so I'm kind of impressed with myself when I look at it. When I went back to spin it the second time, because I had put it on timeout for quite a while since I was so frustrated with it, I thought to do a couple of things. I thought to pull out and check the staple length, which I never did before I started this. And upon doing that, I discovered that Corriedale was a much longer staple length than I was assuming it was, and I hadn't ever spun anything with a staple length that long before when I made this yarn, so of course it was frustrating. So if I had continued combo drafting this, I would have stripped it down into much thinner strips to just have enough control and not let it get ropey when I was spinning too fine, or, take control of the entire braid. And this skein is also a huge learning curve for me. First of all, you can tell the skein is huge. That's because I had total of this fiber 8 ounces together, 2 4-ounce braids that I combo spun together. And the other reason is that I used the bulky fly and to ply it here at the shop. I do not own a bulky fly myself, but there is one with the wheel at the shop, so I thought I would try it. And in some places when I look at it, I feel like, oh, that's not so bad. But then I look at other places or other angles and I feel like, oh my. So basically, I underplied it a lot. And this must be towards the end where it's a more reasonable twist angle on the ply, and I feel like it's going to stay together. But there are lots of places where, where it's hardly plied at all. And I haven't set the twist in this. I haven't washed it or, thwapped it or snapped it or hung it to dry or anything like that. Partially just because I wanted to show it to you. Part of why I started this video cast was because I knew I was going to have a learning curve with learning to spin since I'm basically a novice. And there are many podcasts and video casts full of very, very knowledgeable people who can give you tips as amazing, amazing professionals, like Rachel Smith of the Wool and Spinning podcast, or the Wool Wench They have awesome videos that are super helpful. I hope my videos are helpful, but kind of more as a, we can look at our mistakes and check it out. So using the bulky fly, it definitely has a learning curve. And I will say recently my friend Siri tested the bulky fly here in the shop and then decided to go and get the Woolly Winder bulky fly for her matchless instead. And a lot of people say that it's more difficult to treadle when you have the bulky fly on your, I have a Shacked Matchless spinning wheel. But I didn't find that to be the case. I actually really, really liked it. And this is just me trying to find my bearings. So, I haven't watched this because I'm going to run it another time when I'm here and I have the chance. I will put the bulky fly back on the shop wheel and I will run this through again and add more twist to the ply before I wash it and finish it. And then I'll also pay more attention and get an actual finished yardage after I've set the twist and washed the yarn. So there's that. But I'm really happy with this, and I do really like these colors together. And I like this with all the barber pulling a little bit more than I like this with the very super washed out bluey grays. So there's that. And I did somehow have, when I was combo drafting, I must have used more of the Freya than the other colorway. So this is what the pink exhaust dye bath looks like. Just plied back on itself as a 2-ply. So there's leftover that. I had no leftovers of Freya. And that is my nearly finished spin. So probably won't see that again until I knit with it. I'm losing my shawl. I need a shawl pin to put in the back so it stays on. Fashion faux pas. I'm looking very professional right now. I do have one very exciting spin in progress, and there's going to be a little bit of crinkling, mostly just because I don't dare take this out of the bag all the way. So what I am currently working on spinning at the moment is this stuff right here, which is, it's kind of easier to see in the bag. There's 8 ounces of it altogether, including what's in this bag and what I've already spun. And this is baby camel down and silk. Right? So talk about luxury and super, super warm. And it is also my first commissioned spin. So there is another fiber artist in town who wanted to knit with this but didn't want to spin it herself because she was a little bit worried about being able to spin it fine enough. And she has traded me, I'm spinning this 8 ounces of fiber for her, and she's traded me 8 ounces of other bits and bobs of mixed other wonderful fibers, including like baby alpaca and some angora and some quivet. Yeah, some muskox. I only have an ounce of it, and so far all I've done is look at it in the little box. I haven't even touched it. I've spun yak down before, but I'm really nervous about the quivet, and I haven't decided if I'm gonna like just blend all those together and spin them all together and end up with a fluffy, super, super warm yarn, or if I obviously should blend it with something. I just haven't decided what that something is. So I have been spinning on that, and this is what it looks like so far. Which I am super happy with how even it's coming out, and look at the little halo from the camel down. So I'm really, yeah. I mean, of course there's some irregularity to it, but I am going for a very thin yarn, and I'm spinning this fairly high twist. and I'm hoping to do a 3-ply for her. She wants to make glove liners with them for some people she knows who just like are never warm in the wintertime and have issues with pain in their hands, which is super sweet. But this fiber is really interesting to work with because the silk, which is shot through, is a very long staple and very strong. But the camel down is camel down and it's very short staple, so it's kind of weird to spin them together. There are definitely places where I feel like it's easy for the silk to take over, and you can end up just, if you're not careful or paying attention, you can end up just drafting silk for a little while and not drafting much in the way of camel down with it. So that's something I've had to look out for, and there has been some, like, sorry, I have a pile over here because I was working on it today. There has been some, like, waste in what I'm getting from it, because there will be spots like this where there's, I mean, this is shorter than the rest of the silk in it, and there will just be these really, these unexpected, like, matted bits of silk kind of throughout, which, I mean, cool, I'm totally keeping those out, and I'll card that into something else later, so it's not a big deal. But any spots where I have gotten unevenness and I've had to pause and go through and just, you know, twist out a bit of the silk that looks like that. And I've been working on this same bobbin for quite a while, so it's very slow going, spinning fine to get a bobbin full. I thought I would actually have a bobbin all the way full for the show today, but I do not. And I also wanted to weigh that before I started the show today so I could figure out how much I have to go and where I'm at, but I also forgot to do that. So there it is. That's what I'm working on at the moment. And now I have camel down up my nose, so if I have to sneeze, I apologize. And I will try not to do that on camera. But now we've reached the part of the video cast that you've all been waiting for, which is the section on giveaways, because it's my podiversary. So I actually have some things that were graciously donated by the Polka Dot Sheep in Whitefish for you all. And I am doing 2 different giveaway prizes. So here we go. Polka Dot Sheep donated these super cute, very squishy minis. So all the speckles, it's washing out the top one especially, but there's yellow in there too. And this bottom purple one is my favorite, and I was very tempted to keep it, but I am not. So, Tenderfoot, I was right, that is the name of her sock base. Also, this is her card. Look at how cute is her logo. Seriously, it's so cute. And she's wonderful. So this mini is called Egg Hunt. This colorway is called Free Spirit, which may be my next pair of socks. And this colorway is Last Chair, which I also really like. She gets great yellow. The Summer Storm has the same yellow pops in it, and they're just wonderful. So these are each wonderful little 25 gram, 100 yarn minis, and they are 80% merino, 20% nylon. So there you have it. Super squishy. So I'm very, 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 very excited to send these out to someone. And if I had been thinking, I would have come up with some very clever question. Oh, I know. The this wonderful dyer is also a pattern designer, so why don't you go visit her website, which is thepolkadotcheap.com. So go visit her website and poke around and check out her really awesome patterns and tell me which one is your favorite in the comments below. And I will choose one of you from the comments here on YouTube to send these out to at the end of it all. So there's that one. And the second giveaway is from me. So the second giveaway is these two skeins of yarn. So the yellow and the purple in here, that's a different yarn, that's Scotland, and I will unwind this and cut off the bits that don't match the rest of the colors, and I will take that off. So these are just my experimental spinning with the Corriedale, dyed by Judy's Novelty Wool out of Utah, and this is my contribution to the giveaway. So I'm not sure what you would do with them all, but the pink I think is a good, fun little bit of contrast, and even though this is a 2-ply, it's roughly the same weight as this 3-ply. So I think that might make a fun little project together. So, if you want to enter in this giveaway, you can let me know what your ideas on what you would make with these little guys together are, or no, I take that back. Instead, tell me what your favorite thing about knitting with handspun is. What's your favorite thing about knitting with handspun? In the comments below. And you can enter both of them, of course. If I will, draw for one first and the other one second, and there you go. If you only answer one of the questions, I will know your preference on which one you want to win. So yes, there you go. I'm new to this whole giveaway thing, but I'm really excited to send some yarn out to some of you wonderful people, and that about does it for me for today. So if you happen to be an indie dyer or a spun maker or another yarn type person, and you did want to donate something to the video cast for me to use as a giveaway or whatever, please just contact me. Or if you would like to do a swap, I always love swaps. Go ahead and contact me. And other than that, thank you all so much for bearing with me and keeping up with me and my projects and watching my little show. So once again, I'm Madeline, WoolyWitchotWest on Facebook and Instagram, and WoolyWitchotWest on Ravelry, which I will update someday and try and keep up on more regularly. And I hope you all have wonderful days full of wool. I'll see you next time. Bye. What do you think? Queen of the mountain, huh? Oh, I called you out, huh? I'm no fun. Oh.